to the scene, it's your host TTP. We're flying high in the crypto sky, just you and me. From Bitcoin rush to Ethereum, we traded all the coins. Hit the trading parody, making that joyful noise. We got bots, we got plots, charts on the big screen. 3 comments to Wick Hunter, we're the trading machine. Laughing all the way to the bank, it's a fun parade. With every trade we made, watch how we get paid. TTP's got the formula, flipping coins like a spatula. In the crypto game, with the vernacular, spectacular. From the morning to the night, we're streaming with the light, trying to trading parallel. We'll teach you how to fight. Dive into the charts, the RSI, liquidity at a glance, trends on the rise. We never leave it up to chance. All trading Ganium, tools of the champion breed. With AI and math, we're planting the money seed. Laugh with us, trade with us, ain't no looking back. You're with the parrot now, leading the pack. Alpha profits, snap plus with the crypto law. TTP's on the mic and he's ready to soar. TTP's on the mic and he's ready to soar. TTP's got the formula, flipping coins like a spatula. In the crypto game with a vernacular, spectacular. From the morning to the night, we're streaming with the light. Join the trading parallel. We'll teach you how to fight. Time into the charts.
Hello guys, welcome to the Train Parrot and to another live stream. We are doing a live stream today, Monday morning. It's not that morning, it's 3 p.m. already in the UK. I already had lunch and I'm ready to do some TA. There's been a lot of volatility in the past few hours, particularly when you look at it from the 4-hour perspective. On the daily as well. On the weekly, nothing is really moving that much. So some people are going to say, hey, you're making such a big deal. Really, Bitcoin hasn't moved that much. I think it's been, in terms of volatility, the big deal, and it's been as well a big deal in terms of size of liquidations. I was counting 1.7 billion, 1.6 on the longs, in just 100k on the shorts. So today we're going to focus on 2 things. Bitcoin, first of all, make sure that you answer the poll, and there's a poll on the live chat on YouTube. So if you are more interested in altcoins, or if you are more interested on Bitcoin, make sure that you reflect that. And if you have any choices of altcoins, well, this is the time to write down your altcoin, because I'm going to go through the comments chronologically, so to make sure that if you are one of the first to put your coin, that one is gonna be obviously TA'd. If you don't write it down now, well, maybe it's gonna be too late. In 1 hour, we'll see what we can do. On Bitcoin, I want to do just a very, very, very short update, because nothing has happened since I published the video this morning. That was a pretty heavy, full of information already, so I'm not going to repeat any of that. I just want to cover a few things that I didn't say in the morning. Okay, just to be fair. Satoshi era well dump 24,000 Bitcoin, that's 2.4 billion on Sunday around 1 a.m. I guess that's UTC time, and then liquidations got triggered. I didn't cover that. I saw that in the news, but for some reason it slipped from my head and I didn't mention it during the video. So now you know, if you didn't before. We're also gonna cover the top versus bottom indicator. If you are new in the TTP space, you probably have no clue what is that, but this is one of the oldest indicators I continue to use. Where recently we lost the Big Well Explorer guys, they removed the data of large holders from TradingView, and because of that, the indicator now is starving. It cannot consume that data, and it cannot give us that magnificent view of Big Well Explorer. It really helped me making good money to buy dips, and it really helped me dodging huge bullets. Particularly when I sold at 73.5k all my Bitcoin, I rely a lot on that one. Really sad about that indicator that I cannot use it anymore. And with the top bottom weekly, this indicator has played out incredibly well, but it took me years to take it seriously. So I built it like around 2020, 2021, but I really started started squeezing the juice out of this indicator way later when we started doing these bounces here at minus 0.13 and then selling in here in November 2024. During those areas, I took advantage, but not before. And it has been held between these two trend lines. This is symbolizing the volatility of Bitcoin that is diminishing. That's not news, but it's very interesting how this calculation keeps it constrained. Where are we now? Well, we are very close to the zero line. Kind of, we went back into the median with this move down in here. We did it, but before hitting the top. I was hoping that at some point we reach 0.30. At that 0.30, I was tracking it and saying that that is located. I was tracking 0.28. Well, fair enough. That was located at 130K, more or less. And we were so close to that. That should have been an area where we see a rejection, but we stopped earlier. The weekly closed a lot lower. That's why the green is further away from the white line. And if we cross below here into the red line, we're going to be in a massive discount area if we get there, right? Notice that we have taken out only once and to the downside on 2022 during the bear market. With that exception, there is nothing broken about the indicator. So I covered that. Someone was asking me to cover that one, and let me see if I'm missing anything else for today. Well, yeah, a minute of silence for Big Well Explorer that died mid-August on us. We'll have to find something to replace it. I'm sure we will. Let's have a look at what's going on with the price. Let's go back into the 4 hour, and you can see that we have pinch global support on the 4 hour. So 4 hour is really screaming volatility together with the cross fee ratio. That's what it does. It peaks in here and it prints a signal when the volatility spike into the downside or to the upside with purple. The RSI is synchronously showing us that pinch there, and many people are getting bullish, yeah, because that 27 is significant, right? But if you start increasing the time frame, you're going to see that on the daily, there's a little bit of headroom to find support at 39. That is 110.8. I said in the morning that I'm not going to enter at 12.5, but I stay a little bit further with the charts and I ended up entering in a small long. I made aware already all my Patreon community. It's a small long, okay? I'm not going to get rich from the small long, but I'm taking advantage of some potential upside. I'm already in the money by 1% with a 3x. Well, that's nothing, right? So I need to wait and see if we hit 114. That's the first challenge I see. Why is that? Because at that point, we finish the first chunky fair value gap that we can also observe here more clearly, 114, 180. If we want to carry on higher, we have another one up until 115. And after that, we have skinnier ones. Okay, we have one at 16, 18. Yep. If we could, you know, get to 116 and we see some additional upside, that will make me feel, hey, maybe this was really a fake out and maybe we do something like a full revenge rally and we get higher. But at the moment, the momentum is broken and we did a big pinch in here. So the most likely scenario is to clear imbalances and that's it. Until proven wrong, that's the highest likelihood. And that's what I'm trading. That's why I'm playing with a small long. Maybe I take advantage until here. If things carry on, I let it ride a little bit longer, moving the stop loss, of course. Why with the stop loss? Well, again, big pinch here. Highest likelihood is that we just clear imbalances and that we continue lower. Until where? Well, the most bullish next level is if we do a double bottom in here at 107, and all we do is to take this guy in here. This bad boy could at the very least produce a double bottom, right? If you just pinch that and you do a slightly lower low, and then we start recovering from there on a Tuesday or Wednesday, then that was it. But as I say, that's the most bullish scenario for a new lower low from here. And if we do a bit more than that, we could do more of the target of the bear flag, right? The target of the bear flag, I measured it this morning, but I'm going to do it again. Live is more exciting. We can put this like that and connect it with that high that could bring us into 100 k point 7. That's an extension of 1. An extension of 1618 probably is around 96k. Just extend it a little bit more. And yeah, remember I was saying that there was one candidate to start the bear flag. It was 116, and the second was 119. Well, we are kind of somehow using halfway through those two to start with that potential bear flag. It's just potential, okay? I don't take it for granted. And you may be wondering, why are you in a long if you have those targets to the downside? Because there are some there is some potential for upside, and if it fails, I add lower. Okay, DCA. Right. So I'm gonna jump with all coins, and we could look into some of the major ones to start with, or I could go with your questions. But since I made a big deal about who puts first the coins, so I'm gonna go with your questions, and let's have a look in here. Oh, I'm gonna put it in this monitor. Since I have so many monitors, I should be using them. Some people are asking for Aster. Smash the likes. Yes, please. And Alex is asking, assuming we go next after the upper liquidity um, at 118k, do you think we can safely assume that Bitcoin is holding a strong support around 110, 112, and 106 is off the table? Okay, so I guess Alex is asking me, I don't know if you can see you probably can see the question in the screen. I- How can we invalidate, in that case, a double bottom or bear flag targets? And let's see. Let's put back the Bitcoin chart. I think we need, what target do we have in the middle? I don't want to give you just a template answer. I want to think my answer. So we have an order block here at 108 to 107. So I'm tempted to say, I'm going to go with this. If we break 112.5 with a candle close on the 4 hour, um, below 112.5, which we haven't broken, uh, I will say that it's a high likelihood that we're going to that area of the 109 to 107, which is a whole area of liquidity. Okay, with the maximum, with the peak at 107, but that's the area. Why? Because we are holding that, and that was previous support in here, 112, 12.5, and it was the order block that sent Bitcoin into the all-time high. And people are going to look into that and say, well, we are in the same area, interestingly. Maybe we go into all-time high. Slightly lower. I would say we are getting just too close to achieving the target. We have in here quite a lot of volume at 110. That could be the only thing in the middle between where the price is and to get us into the order block of 109 to 7. So this defends at 111. But that's a lower low, and that breaks this low in here, and it puts just too much tension, too much expectations on the shorts that we could get there. And we have a heck of a lot of shorts at the moment, right? They spiked this morning. They're all allocated and they're all pushing in the same way. They're getting very cocky with these guys, which might put my my small long into trouble in here. At 113 there is now 2.5, and at 114 there is 1k. So those two together are skewing into the red. My yeah my bid versus ask ratios, they're all in the red, meaning that too much selling pressure right above the price and in all deviations up. That's kind of the situation at the moment. But I'm still in the long. Why are you still in the long if there's so much defense in there? Are you idiot? No, it's because I've been so many times in a situation like that, and sometimes things just reverse in 1 hour. Someone drops a news, and then suddenly everybody's bullish, and that's how you end up being that dude that got lucky. If I'm wrong, well, I have something to do. That there is a plan towards that. And look at this, as we came back down in here, also longs are starting to come into 58. So we bounce from my blue area. That's the alpha for taking shorts. And now we're getting into 58. So if this continues up and we get some additional longs, w- we could do some damage until 14, 115, something like that. That's my guess. Next question. Oh, we got someone asking for Ave and Solana. Let's do that. And I think I had it like around here. Yeah. Okay, so Ave had a V recovery. I'm gonna analyze weekly charts, guys, in here. I'm not gonna do any scalping today. Just I'm following the weekly anyways, and that works really well for me because all coins are just all over the place, and just following a big picture to me proves a lot more profitable. But of course, there's an element of preference. If you want to do scalping, well, this is not going to help you that much. So we got this fee recovery that managed to get into 387. That's pretty much around the highs there. And we broke out from here, and I'm expecting, or I was expecting, to get into some high levels of RSI in the context of a revenge rally into the white line. And I even left this line in there with, calculating this and placing it here. But now on the weekly, we started the weekly from the edge of that, and we moved all the way to 248, very close to our next support of 243. We bounced from there so far, and the most bullish outcome that this could have is if we close this week into, by the way, Sunday 28. So we still have 2 more days in the week after 29th and 30th. That is September technically. So I was just speculating, if with this candle getting bought up, if we land straight into October, not by 2 days. There's still 2 more days of September, but this candle right next to it could be the candle of October. And just thinking about seasonality, could October come, recover this dude, and still achieve my target of 89? That's what I'm speculating. Things are very quiet for Aave, and we can look into some liquidation levels. Not 40 hours. Let's go with 3 months. So let's see who got liquidated. Well, pretty much everybody on the 3 months. There's just a leftover between 240 to 234. Unfortunately, I cannot see longer term, but I will say that there's probably a lot of liquidity at 200 because there's 2 weeks there, and then below 100. But risk, I will say, is breaking the $200. That will be the biggest risk for Avid now. Um, Ideally, the weekly, we want to close it as close as possible as the 300 from where we broke down, um, to leave a decent wick to the downside relative to the whole length of the candle, to still apply somehow as a buying pressure and bullish recovery of this. Let's turn this into a fake out to the downside. Um, yeah, because Aave, I think it deserves a move into 444 by merit, and I mean it. Merit, I mean higher highs, higher lows so far. Um, yeah, and a rally into 87, 85. It should do some of that. Let's see. 87. Let's remove that and let's enable it. Well, that's a lot more. That's over $1,000 if we get into 85. The PNR maybe is going to give us more realistic numbers, 75. And I already had it from before. That is around 578. With almost either of them, we can get an all-time high. There's nothing broken about Aave. That's why I'm being a bit more open to recovery and stuff like that. Let's go with Solana. Solana, remember in the last videos, I talk about the breakout on the weekly, but I also say that it's going to be tough when we meet with the 240, just because that is, the previous support of all this area. Also, I'm seeing in here that for the first time in history, the longs versus shorts went into the target of one, but now it's coming back, it's pulling back down. And I suspect that there is a lot of longs, not just with Solana, with many coins that are trapped now. And that is kind of my worry for pullback with the altcoins, because there is a lot of headroom for market maker to damage people based on the amount of open interest that went into altcoins versus Bitcoin. It's people are kind of helping the market maker for dominance to do a big push up, thanks to everybody, you know, a clear out. Let's clean the house from open interest, and that means many altcoins doing a decent move down before even potentially continuing up, just because things get heavy with too much open interest. Um, Solana, areas where we could find support next. So since there was a rejection, right? So we have a candle with big wicks to the upside, very similar to these two. And Solana, that's pullbacks that are pretty decent. Um, we move up 164%. Here we move down 67. I'm gonna go with finding support somewhere. Hopefully the 200 can hold, but that is just too bullish. If Bitcoin resumes the uptrend in October, then Solana is just gonna find support at 200. But if Bitcoin has a little bit more downside, around getting into the 100K, then Solana can get into 180. Um, and my preference is that Bitcoin gets a correction. I prefer that for trading. It's going to make things so much better to trade, so much smooth. The risk reward is going to be just on the table. Just take me home. Whereas if we are like this and we correct a little bit, you have to take small positions and protect yourself a lot more. And of course, I prefer that additional confidence. Um, if you are already allocated and you bought everything in all coins and you have your house, your mortgage there, you should slap in your face and start watching these videos. For God's sake, start learning. Let's go with Dutch. Right. I've seen so many posts of Dodge bulls on Twitter. I don't know. I don't search for Dodge in Twitter, but I get a lot of people targeting huge numbers. Um, and I actually left some targets. Let me see the RSI. Yeah. So in terms of Dodge is in a different timing in here. It's I'm speculating personally that we are not going to do one more of these pushes into the top of the range, like October 2022, then here, two, three, four times. I'm speculating and I'm hoping that I'm wrong. You do your own research, but my bet is no, we're not going to get to 98. I'm sorry. We're gonna play with this line in here. That is my area of play for upside. That's a way of managing expectations, I guess, because saying, yeah, no, we can go to 98 now, don't worry. We've been, just so you know, in 98 before. So that's an argument. If you are very bullish on Dodge, yeah, we've done it. We did it in February 2021, right before entering the bear market. um, that's because historically the meme coins were pumping the last, uh, everything from market cap in order, and the last was the crap. The crap was pumping last. I'm not gonna call Doge anymore crap because it's a huge market cap now, but it used to be small, right? And it used to be a meme coin, just like many new meme coins now. And if I'm wrong, well, that's the target 98, and it's gonna be probably um over a dollar. Shall we calculate that just for fun? 98, 98 as a target. It's not even gonna appear here. What? Ah, oops, idiot. Where is it? There you go, $7. So if we get to 98 RSI, it's $7. So if you wanna wait without a stop loss for $7 on Dodge, good luck with that. But I will say more realistic is to go into 71 for this period makes sense. Is 40 0.43, a bit disappointing, right? That is just an upside of 87%, and it's below this high. And we got a target of extension of 1. If we repeat this performance that we have in here and we just place it in here, it can get into 52. So I will play with that range. But I told you, so many people talking on Twitter on this. Look how many longs we have. We are approaching the most longs in history for Dodge. So if you are thinking to enter that, I don't know what you're doing in this channel. You should go to a million follower channel. Those are the channel more appropriate for that sort of trading. And in terms of socials, it's just medium. Maybe it's just my timeline, but I don't see any peak in here. But in terms of longs, yeah, everybody came back after February. Everybody left. Now everybody's back, and it's almost at the top number of longs. If we sustain a little bit longer this altcoin season that didn't last anything, some people were telling me that this version of the altcoin season indicator is broken, and that's why it's like this. But you can see it reaches 100. If my eyes are correct, that's 100. Yeah. And then it came back to 65. So if this comes back above the 75 line, it will mean that we already are performing massively with all coins again, and sustaining a crazy altcoin season can do, get to 53 and get to higher highs. But I wouldn't wait for the $7. Definitely not. And there's just too many new meme coins to assume that, in my opinion. Let's go with Tau. Sorry, Tau USDT. Yeah, this morning was pending from a thread. I saw it, and it's doing a decent job there. Um let me look into that. By the way, I'm gonna leave the chat with the latest messages. So if you have any question, just write it down there. I'm gonna be every now and then reading as well before I find the next coin. So this was a symmetrical triangle, right, on the weekly, and Tau came down, it broke down in here, and it's not confirmed. It's just intracandle. We close slightly below here, but this could still reclaim 329, hopefully. and hopefully we're not going to start next week and hit 330 and then carry on into the next um, trading range, which is probably located at 250. um, Going into 250, let me see how this bastard behaves. So up, 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 yeah, double bottom. This is like a triple bottom, and then pushes, then comes back down to 438 and a higher high, and then only downside. So we don't have a lot of history of BitTensor, right? We start from April 2024. So I cannot say a lot, but I can tell you in here that from being at 350 something, you can go into 242 in just a week and then reclaim and stay in the higher trading range. So you could potentially pierce 244 if you get lucky and then come back up. You just need to be careful where you enter, ideally at areas of support, because this can come into the triangle and not re-enter the triangle. If it does that, then you need to take profits earlier because it could threaten to go lower. I still have this bias that there will be a little bit more of altcoin season, but please don't trade my bias, trade data. Bias is just like a gut feeling in this case. There's a breakdown from support on RSI that is not looking great for Tau. Longs are pulling out in here. Um, and I would like to see liquidations of Tau to see if we already cleared the house. How many are we live? How many are we? We are 98. There's no one on Twitter? Everybody's on YouTube. Interesting. Maybe it's not working on Twitter. Jose, can you check if Twitter live is running? Um, yeah, we clear on Tau this big liquidation. I think I covered this in the last Elite TA, but we left some in here. So there's not a lot of motivation really to go that close to the price in here. There must be some liquidations lower if we're going to go lower, but nothing really interesting for Tau there. It's just reacting to the rest of the market. And to the upside, why is it so clear? So yeah, to the upside, neither to the upside. I think the rest is just this, possibly 283. I will accept something up until there, and then I will say after 283, probably price wants to go for liquidity older than 3 months. That probably is below 250. But we don't have any visuals for that, unfortunately. And going back to the top of the questions, I did Tau. I'm gonna do XRP, ADA, and Avalanche. So XRP is next. Where is XRP? Wow, XRP is holding decently here. How am I seeing that? Well, in the weekly, we are holding against the previous low. We did kind of a double bottom against 2.7. 2.7 was this resistance. That was my exit. That was my goodbye forever XRP. And now it's bouncing from that. It's been still resistance. So 2.7 is a important level, and we are defending it, but not just defending it, but actually getting bought up with maybe it's an intracandle weekly, right? But it's getting bought up with a higher low at 286 relative to 277. Well, that's decent. Um, Not holding to 7, and we got a new trading range in here around the 2.4. That hopefully holds a support. It bounces back up, completes a bullish flag, and breaks out to the upside. Um, I had some views on the 78. I covered that in my most recent XRP videos. That's where I want to go. But I'm going to make that subject to this RSI, holding highs relative to 47. And so far, we are doing that. We have a 54 and another 54, and price higher, RSIs equal lows. So that is giving me a small divergence there, but we need to complete it. So I'm not going to say anything because it's going to give false promises. It's too early intra-candle too. Where are we with the longs versus shorts? We are getting very close to areas of value. And I will assume that this morning, when we were visiting that support of 2.7 in the price, that the longs were slightly below support and they got bought up because this is an area of value. Areas of value are not perfect. Okay. It's not like 2.7 by the dollar is area of value. No, is a range, right? A 20% range where you are in the value and you're in an altcoin that has big volatility and you look for longs in that range inside. And socials coming back down, we are at 2.3. So it's getting very quiet for XRP. I would, if it was an XRP, I would be looking for adding at areas of support, the 2.7, the 2.4, if we go lower. Let's go with the next, which was going to be Cardano and then Avalanche. And ADA as well is looking decently good. Yeah, Bitcoin is still doing good. I'm still in green. So I'm looking into Bitcoin not because I care, I let the price do whatever it wants. But if Bitcoin is still positive relative to 112.5 versus below that price, I'm gonna look at the altcoins with a different eye, because if Bitcoin is puking again, then I need to be more permissive with the downside of the altcoins, because that's what normally happens. But if Bitcoin is recovering, then that will explain why these guys are doing higher high in intracandle. If it's doing it by itself, it means that this altcoin is experiencing something in the fundamentals or something I'm ignoring that is making it particularly bullish in this market. So XRP has hit already the revenge area twice. And sorry, one sec. And I was speculating that we can do it for a third time, although every single time you do it is less likely. Um, But now we are forming some sort of bearish pattern here because we have that pivot at 56 on Cardano. And this could come into the global support at 44. Maybe needs recharging a little bit lower before hitting it again. We have had two rallies, 81 and 86. And I'm looking for this 87 coming later, because the structure of Cardano looks intact in terms of higher highs and higher lows in here. We are not overextended in longs. We're just grinding up longs, shorts. There's not a lot of noise in socials, so there's room to go. There's some previous targets that we haven't used yet, we haven't achieved yet, the 1-1. So maybe just a move into 0.7, it's acceptable in here. If not, if we hold 81, we should resume into the $1. I think that's totally doable. Of course, all of these targets are always in the context of general markets not yet doing anything big. And I'm expecting the general markets to do something big at some point. We have some signs that that could come in the next few months. So if it happens, and then your altcoin gets screwed, it's not bad TA. Is the TA is the TA, right? It's objective, it's just lines and things pointing to different places, measuring likelihood, and that is just objective, right? Well, the way I do it, no, but you get the point. I see what I see, and I'm honest. Then, if the general markets have a crash, well, no one can tell when that's going to happen. If it happens, it's going to drag everything with it straight into the bin. So that's why you need to master your risk management. So yeah, 80 support. Next level is $1. Hopefully now we can break it. There's nothing broken in here. And I was gonna do AVAX. Oh, before that, let me go into Cardano and do a little bit of inspection in terms of liquidation levels. Right. Yeah, so Cardano is very heavy here at the $1. So at some point we need to go either to the $1 or to the 1.2 in the short term, I think. Going for 64 and 74 is just a detour, in my opinion. Again, unless general markets don't do something else, that's always a condition. Avalanche, it's currently being rejected by 32. I really like this. So, the line is not perfectly placed. Okay. Yeah, but still the same conclusion. So I'm looking at Avalanche, and you can see there was resistance in here. It was previous support all this period, even this period in here. And by Sunday, we didn't close below resistance. We closed above support. We started Monday from above, coming below. Obviously, that's when the puke started at 1 a.m., someone was saying. Uh, but we haven't even gone to the next support of 27. And if this Sunday we were able to reclaim 32, well, nothing happened. We are just going to leave behind a big week to the downside and we can carry on. The next target was $39, and we have done half of it, or even more than that, actually. We just got rejected from this area of volume, which is always difficult to pierce. That was previous support too, with the candle closes there. Um, so if market kind of has some recovery, I think AVAX is going to continue starting to look bullish. It hasn't done much this cycle, and you can see that thanks to that green candle, last week we managed to do a weekly breakout and we are coming for a retest. So you can even come below 55, 50 something if you have access to the let's calculate it. I'm gonna make your life easier. 57.5. But you can get access to a free one, a free reverse RSI. And you can see that is the support. That is the line in the sand to re-enter the breakout on the RSI. So below $30 and you're back inside, and then you can say that this is a fake out. Above 30 and you're still kind of bullish. Ideally, reclaim 32 to reclaim also the horizontal support, and that makes it a lot more likely that this rally is finally finding an exit. This rally is a breakout from this top and this top. So it says a lot about getting at least into $50. This is breaking out already. $50 is still further away. What does it mean that? It means that the momentum says that the breakout beyond $50 became just slightly more likely. Don't read it as it's on the table, it's mine. No, slightly more likely. Get Try to deal with that likelihood only. Um, Next coin is Pengu. Okay, let's see if we can do Pengu. Yeah, like this. Let's do it. Shall we do it on the daily? Yeah, I think I have everything on the daily. Whoa, what a timing. Look at this. The whole history on the daily of Pengu has been bouncing from this white line. We have done it one, two, almost three, four, five, six times, and we did it within an area of a breakout that was supposed to go into the top end. So this could turn into two things. It's an area of risk, right? Um, The risk is this closes the day below this line and carries on, and it does a painful retest of this line somewhere lower. That's going to hurt a lot. The longs that enter post or during the breakout, or it gets bought up above 44 RSI daily, and somehow it manages to survive and it goes higher. That that is the risk, because it's right there in the crossroad to decide that. There is a double top in here, and probably the target is slightly lower than the support. Just mentioning that, and let's see what else can we find. If we hold the 30, that would be great. Otherwise, we're gonna come back and fool around below these levels. If we lose those levels, notice there's a point of control there. Then the next one is 22, and after that is 13. Um, yeah, I can see the breakout on the price as well that failed. It hasn't fully failed. It's just a painful test. It's coming to 28, and hopefully reclaims 30, and maybe we can recover back into the top. Um, yeah, a close on the daily about 31 will be fantastic to give us some additional hope. Remember that we are looking into that potential of completing the cup and handling here, and then getting into targets of 1 or 1618 at 90 or at 67. That will be great. Let's go for the next one. The next one is KSM, and I don't remember if I've done this ever. Uh, okay, so it's extremely, it's ideal for a grid bot. It's just hovering around 22 and 11. Last time it was around June, okay, and we got something that broke in here from these lows, something like this. Could we say that we are in a squeeze that just broke? Yeah, partially, just like we did with Bitcoin, but that was on the 4 hour. This is weekly. And next level of support should be 12.5 on candle close. But there is also some support where we are at 14. That comes from this order block that managed to push into 17. So hopefully we hold at 14. What's going on with the RSI? Well, obviously we also have a breakdown. It's that one. Let's see. Why do I have so many stupid lines? Let's see if we can reset somewhere there and then resume to the upside. Yeah, I don't see anything yet for a great entry if you are sitting on your hands. And it's also so sideways. I really don't like the price action of this coin. It doesn't make me comfortable trading it. Um, on the weekly, yeah, a bit more clean like this, because there's enough history to do KSM on the weekly. Look at the longs. The longs were holding this line, and on June, they just gave up. And it's been just less longs and less longs, not just today, but starting from 9th of December of 2024 on KSM, there hasn't been any significant new flow of people trading long. It's just new shorts and less longs. Um, there's going to be eventually here some area of support, and socials are extremely quiet. No one gives a damn at the moment at this coin. But on the weekly, well, there's been a breakout. That the breakout was on 14th of April. It behaved horrible. Layer 2, layer 3 breakout. So you can leave it like this for a layer 5, but after a breakdown is no, no. I don't want to trade this. It gives me nightmares to think to hold this trade. It's just too much trouble. Hopefully, you're not so invested in this. After, okay, what am I gonna do the 15 minutes? It's been listed very recently. I see it all over the place. CZ talking about it, the support on Binance. What the hell is that? Who cares? Just bullshit. Uh, yeah, the longs have been pulling out from 22nd September, 9:30 a.m. They're coming into 31%. The lowest it's been is 24, which was on this low there, and this low here have the same amount of longs. You can see that, well, that took the price into 1.5 and then into 1.6. If that is something. But let's see on the 1 hour. On the 1 hour, the actual support is 131. We are in this trading range and we are below the point of control. We are below this kind of bearish pattern on the top that already pushed down. Let's see if we have achieved that target. This target from here to the base, place like this, says 1.12. So that is kind of the next target, is below this other trading range. And on the 1 hour, we are like this. So if you are conservative, I will wait for the RSI to fully cool down to decide whether the bottom is 132, 112, or if it's just going to go to hell. And I will look for, some bottom information in this area. Look at the numbers. We are at 40. So at bottom information around this area for accumulation at levels of support, resistance, significant levels, and then wait for a breakout in here. So then you get the chance that the price has gone into resistance. At that resistance, you see weakness and you take small profit, or you hold on tight and see if we can cross this white line on the 1 hour to get a decent pump. But this has already broken down and it already puked here. So now it needs a reset. So you need to wait for that reset and to see where you enter again long. Shorting this, no way. What kind of volatility do we get here so far? So from here to here, that's 1 day, 250. So imagine shorting here and you get another 250. It drags all your losses to nowhere. Solana, I think I did Solana, right? Let me see very quickly if I miss anything. I think I miss a liquidity on Solana, maybe. Maybe I can look into that. Solana liquidity. There you go. So we've been talking about Solana, about this liquidity in here for targets and for exits. And there is just a bunch of leftover of liquidity on the top end, and also something that is not visible, but the 310 that was left after this high. Um, but now the price is coming back down just as a reaction to the market, and not necessarily because it's chasing liquidity. Liquidity really gets serious at 166. And if we did something like that, then I'm interested to enter again. But on RSI, there is not a setup yet. This is just RSI going sideways, announcing that there's going to be a pullback, finally a breakdown. I don't know if you can see it. So I sometimes I don't even put the lines. I just look at this naked, but there is a breakdown there. Um, right. Next coin. Next coin, Cardoso. Is that a coin or is it a joke? Cardoso. Oh, you mean Cardano? Maybe. Well, I did Cardano already. I've been hunting KSM since May and it has paid me off pretty well. I'm in a long right now and I want to add more. Okay. Big Well Explorer, yeah, boo. Hey, I just finished watching your recent show. I'm curious to ask if Bitcoin drops to 50 weekly moving average, what are the chances? And how will alt behave then? So the 50 weekly moving average, let me find that one. Yeah, I think I have the weekly somewhere around here. Let's use this one. Uh, 50 weekly moving average. I guess you mean the standard moving average, not the exponential. I think it's called simple moving. The other way around, moving average simple. Why they call it like this? It's so difficult to find. SMA, right? And 50, and we are on weekly. Cool. And let's change the color to white. There you go. So that is 98. Um, so the 50, many people are talking about the 50 because it's behaving a little bit more like a bull market support band. As you can see, the actual bull market support band is kind of a seasonal now indicator. We spend some time up, above, below, above, below, above, below. And that's why it's natural to expect that, it's expected to hear people talking about going in here, spending some time below the bull market support band, and then maybe resume the uptrend. And I think, uh, personally, I've been looking into this bear flag idea, and the flag idea points. Let me show you where. Let's do a Fibonacci trend extension. So let's use the highest price, the lowest, and the highest in here. So extension of one gives you 100K point 5. 1618 is 89. So that is the target if this bear flag failed. This weekend, we failed to produce the sixth soldier to the upside. And prior to that, we have the third crow. My English. Is this bird that does rah, rah, like this. The special effects are for free, by the way. This 1, 2, 3 in the red going into the bull market support band, and then the three green soldiers or white soldiers, whatever they are, failing to break that resistance, increases the chances that now this can pierce the bull market support band and go into the 50 simple moving average weekly. I think it's doable. There's more likelihood thanks to that. It's never guaranteed, but you keep accumulating points towards certain scenario, and eventually you just hit it, right? And it takes you by surprise. The idea is to stay up to date with those indications to know that it is coming. It's more likely that it's coming. CRV, USDT, I'm gonna do next. CRV, and it's piercing the weekly support. So that, again, every time that we are on a weekly support, I'm gonna say the same. On the RSI, if you pinch support and your thesis is that this is just an exaggeration, like an overreaction in the market, then Pearson support ends up being a great idea. And in my opinion, I love taking longs right below the support of Pearson support. And I do it with a small position, and I'm much better than entering along from here, right? So you already move a lot and you move into support. If support holds, you reclaim and you take another ride. If support doesn't, you look for the next area and you potentially add if it's worth adding. It's not always worth adding, and that's another topic. But in here, CRV is in this channel, and it's fighting to hold the 71 cents. And if it holds that, possibly the weekly RSI is going to close above 49, and that could indicate continuation. We have already had a drawdown of 42%. That's pretty decent. So if this decides to catch up with a potential incoming continuation of the altcoin season, we can get another leg up, possibly into the next high. That's heavy resistance. This whole period, we have not been able to break beyond 1.2, and we got a few peaks in here. You can see the structure, how it builds in the bull market, also in the RSI. And I'm tempted to say that we can get into the highs. Of course, we cannot get to the top of the range. That's 110 RSI. That doesn't exist. So, but maybe just another high, getting closer to the PNR is realistic if we recover. So let's just calculate that 80 to get a reference. 80 RSI. And that gives us something already very, very interesting. That's 2.2 from here. And that breaks this trend line, breaks this resistance, the 185. 185 was the support of the previous cycle during the bull. Then we broke 185, we came back down. So I'm not against the idea of reclaiming $2. Let's see what the longs are doing. Well, they're coming back down. It's a cool down. We were very close to the highest level of longs that CRB can get. And that happened around 21st of July. New longs enter, but price started coming down. So there's already tons of longs that have entered in here in all this retracement on CRV. And we have capitulate some of them, not all of them. That's another risk to consider, which could potentially lead into pinching 61, and hopefully intracandle it goes into 51 and then reclaims and then resumes. That will give much better risk reward if you are still not in a deal. Of course, if you are already and you enter at the highs and you're being dragged down, you don't want to hear this. But as a long, as someone that wants to enter on a coin like this, um, learn to recognize what is a good opportunity. So when it shows up, you are already saying, "Oh yeah, that's a great opportunity," and you're not like, "Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna wait for a little bit lower," and then you don't buy anything. That also deserves a slap sometimes. Uh, Ada, we did it. Alexei, thank you for your answer. 1618 is at 96, looks good. Or else 92, the 618. Let's do Brett. Brett USDT. Never done this. It's going to be on spot on the weekly. Okay, so this one probably broke out as we were approaching the altcoin season, and it's been just dragging. It didn't follow through with the breakout of 14th of July. It's been just doing lower lows, lower highs. Um, Price, let's find the last line of support is that. There's a lot of confluence around the 43. And yeah, this coin doesn't really respect a lot the levels of support and resistance. As you can see, there's an order block there, another one there, another one here. So I'm going to go with those because there's a lack of clarity here, right? So there's resistance here, but this is all over the place. So yeah, we are below support, just like many other coins, slightly below. And we want to respect, obviously, not breaking below 24, because that's kind of the end. We are within the trading range of the 50. We want to go back above 50 and below above that point of control, because that's gonna potentially resume back into 85. And we haven't pierced the white line, so there is still some odds that we can do something like this. It's not like fully discarded, but there's been also, you know, we have gone beyond the most bullish support, so it's not perfect. It's just there is a decreased chance of a continuation to the upside thanks to piercing this. We have the breakout and we have a breakdown, so kind of hand in hand. um, so if you're already in a position, there is a chance that this can still recover. But if you are not trading this, um, the way you can trade these things is scalping. But as an investment, I call it investment because it's a weekly time frame. It takes a while really to play out. But the best scenario will be on the weekly, that this completes this until 85, and then you get that decent bullish pattern here. In that case, RSI will come back above that, the level it lost, turning it into liquidity hand. So it went down just to trap shorts. And then you can get that scenario to the upside. And if that plays out, just a bit more hopium for you, then we can get into the legs, which is 15. And then we achieve this order block. Watch out with that order block. That's the strongest one that you have in all the range. It has the potential to drag you down 84%, so 15 cents. Careful. And longs are still not coming in. They're just putting new lows in here. So less longs and less longs and less longs in the ecosystem of bread. Yeah, and I'm gonna call it because it's 4:06. I'm gonna pick up my daughter. I hope you enjoyed the live stream, guys. You're very quiet. It's not fair. You need to be making more noise in the comments, hitting the like, subscribing, sharing with your friends, and then we do more often these videos. It makes sense. All right. So I'll see you on the next one. Take care. By the way, tomorrow there's a risk that there might not be video because I'm celebrating anniversary. So I'm gonna go for a pub and I'm gonna enjoy myself with my wife. And something we deserve to do sometimes. So don't get so upset if you don't see a video tomorrow. I'm gonna make my best, but if not, you know what I'm doing. All right. Take care. Bye bye.